Hello and welcome everybody, Jack Acid here with ApexHead.com, bringing you episode 12 of the Zero to Hero F1 2012 Career Mode series, and we are kicking things off here at New Delhi in India, and we are trying to take the lead in the driver's standings for the first time in many races. Here on lap 1, trying to chase down Paul di Resta, trying to navigate through turn 10 and getting my exit line all wrong, going off track, and that's going to let the Force India back by. Let's see if we can stick with Paul di Resta as we near the end of the first lap and try and get P19 back, getting a little light, going up over that curb just a hair there at turn 14, now coming around turn 15, going a little bit wide, but trying to pick our spots and finally able to get around the Force India up into P19. Let's see if we can get around Timo Glock in the merge car coming around the final turn and able to fall in behind the Caterham of Vitaly Petrov as we overtake him with no problem here on the start of lap 2. Able to get past the Caterham and now trying to get caught up with Felipe Massa in the Ferrari. Going to be able to overtake on the inside. Now falling in behind both Toro Rossos. Able to get around Jean-Eric Vergne, who starts to go off track just a little bit there, and we should have no problem getting around Ricardo as we come up to the very slow turn 3. Blind Summit coming around onto the long straight, and we were able to get up into P14. Skipping ahead to lap 4, you can see we've overtaken a number of other cars to get up into P10. Now trying to track down Sebastian Vettel, and very slight contact there, and he starts to waver and hits the cone, and a penalty there for making contact with Sebastian Vettel as we came around turn 3, and unbelievably given a penalty for that. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but there was slight contact, and now Sebastian Vettel trying to get the better of me coming down the long straight. We should have no problem outbraking him, and trying to make a move on the inside of Alonso in the Ferrari to get up into P8, staring at the back of the Sauber. So now coming in to serve that drive-through penalty here at the start of lap 5, changing our fuel mix, and there goes our teammate, and should be able to get out before the back of the pack since we are a few laps in, but obviously going to have it all to do as soon as we come out of it. And it looks like we'll be able to rejoin here up into P17. And now moving along here to the end of that lap, and as you can see, a few cars going in for tires, and very close contact there with Vitaly Petrov, and have to yield, and falling in behind the Caterham. But let's see how many cars we leapfrog here in the pit lane, and it looks like we'll be able to get up into P10. But now Vitaly Petrov very slow coming down onto turn 1, able to swing around both cars, one exiting the pit lane there. And speaking of pit lanes, trying to go in for us now, and Daniel Ricciardo and I come into contact, at least our tires bumped. And don't forget, Ricciardo and I got tangled coming into pit at Bahrain, so it looks like he was going to pull into the pit lane, and that was almost another disaster between him and I. And word of the wise, do not go into the pit lane near Daniel Ricciardo in this game. So having a look here, just under 3.5 seconds from the team, not a bad stop. And changing our fuel mix, looks like we'll rejoin in P13. Here comes Sebastian Vettel, our rival. And if we beat Vettel here, I believe it's this race, I think we'll get an offer from Red Bull. So obviously hoping to do that. Want to go to Red Bull before jumping over to Ferrari. Actually, truth be known, I probably won't even get to those seasons given 2013's release date. Getting around Sebastian Vettel, coming around here as we get out on the long straight. Let's see if we've got the legs to get by Felipe Massa. Looks like we'll be able to with ease. DRS now activated, and here we go. Neck and neck with the Ferrari coming down. Should have no problem overtaking him here at the braking point. And that's going to get us up into P11 as long as we don't go wide coming around this very wide corner. Very fun actually, but easy to lose your bearings because of so much real estate, as evidenced here on lap 8, getting around Jenson Button and falling behind Fernando Alonso in the Ferrari. And Alonso and Maldonado neck and neck, coming down into a very dreaded sequence of corners for myself, turns 5, 6, and 7. I usually cannot get my entry right into turn 6 at all. And even here, following cars, still having problems. And as you can see, Jenson Button very hot on my heels. Once we come out of turn 9 here, you can see how slow I am. Here comes Jenson Button on the inside. It's got the nose over me as we come through turn 10. And not doing a very good job entering turn 10, but able to keep things online. So now trying to get around Maldonado as we come around turn 16. We've got the pace, and Alonso very slow as well. Able to get around both cars, and now I hear contact from behind, probably between the Ferrari and the Williams car. It didn't involve me, but that was a strange sequence. Fernando Alonso seemed to be slowing down as we try and stretch our legs out to get around the Sauber, and going wide here at turn 1 onto the runoff. And let's see if Sergio Perez gets around us, and for some reason he does not. I thought that I would lose a couple of positions there because slowing down, but somehow Perez does not take advantage. And speaking of taking advantage, Kobayashi dispatched here as we get out onto the long straight. And now just trying to contend with our teammate Kimi as we come around turn 15, trying to keep him in our sights. Should have no problem overtaking him here at turn 16, which the AI has been very slow at, and Kimi not disappointing here, and we were able to coast by him with ease here at the end of lap 10. So let's have a quick look at timing and scoring. Just over 7.5 seconds behind Nico Rosberg, and skipping to the final lap, you can see we've made that all up, and there's Rosberg now coming around turn 1 extremely slow, and looking very promising to get around him coming through turn 2. Wheel to wheel coming up the hill, should have no problem cutting on the inside, and that's going to happen. Michael Schumacher now, who looks like he's engaged in combat with a P2 car up ahead, but as you can see, not going to have any opportunity to make up any more ground than that. In fact, not really able to even build up any kind of a gap with Rosberg. And we will have to be happy with P4, which is good enough to beat our teammate and Vettel, which means we'll probably get an offer from Red Bull. But the bad news is Lewis Hamilton won the race, and he's the current points leader. So obviously, Lewis able to make up some ground in the standings on us. Sebastian Vettel having a miserable day, finishing in P13. So taking a look at the championship race, and you can see 15 points behind Lewis Hamilton. Michael Schumacher still holding his own in P3 at the moment. And Lotus stuck in 4th position in the Constructors' Chase. So taking the fight to Yas Marina at Abu Dhabi. And you can see coming into contact with Charles Peak, coming around one of the first corners. Very, very crowded here at the back of the pack. Fortunately, a lot of real estate. But you can see that very, very crowded as we line up behind Paul di Resta. And now wheel to wheel with Timo Glock, coming down into a very hard braking point here through this tight chicane. Let's see if we can find our place. Slight contact with Jean-Eric Vergne in the Toro Rosso. And still looking for some room around, trying to avoid these cars here. And finding a large gap on the inside here at turn 7. Slight contact there with Kovalainen. And you may or may not be able to tell, but there is some slight rain here, as we're able to shoot past our teammate Kimi, who's having a hard time chasing down Daniel Ricciardo and Bruno Senna coming down the long back straight. Currently riding in P15, should be able to outbrake both of these cars coming down here. One of the most challenging corners on this particular circuit for me. Don't want to be too aggressive, falling in behind the Caterham. And as I mentioned, starting to rain just a little bit. Gonna see what the leaders do in terms of tires. If they stay out, I'll stay out. Not feeling any real effects just yet, but something to keep our eye on as this race progresses. So now coming down into turn 11, normally would be pretty aggressive, but again, because of the weather and how early it is, already made up a lot of positions, don't need to be aggressive at all. Gonna just try and follow the Caterham through and see if maybe we can do something coming up at one of the corners up ahead where there might be a little more room to overtake. Now coming up to turns 15 and 16, very, very fast, fun set of corners, and this braking point down here, turn 17, very easy to come into the back of cars, as you can see, almost coming into the back of the Caterham, but able to swoop in front of him to line up behind Lewis Hamilton, who is the points leader, and hopefully we can beat out Hamilton as we go wide there and almost go into the barrier, losing time to the McLaren, but at least avoiding damage to our front wing. And taking a look at the leaders, and it looks like no, they are staying out, and so they are not concerned about conditions yet. I'll take the opportunity for one more lap to see if I think better of it, but starting to think that maybe I will go in next lap even if they don't, and that might even give me some kind of an advantage. And you can see very squirrely coming out of the exit there, and that's all the indication I need. I've kind of struggled my way through. So going to go ahead and pull into the pit lane, and you can see the AI still staying out. So this may or may not be to our advantage. And there they go around the final corner. And we're going to go ahead and set our tires for intermediate and see if our gamble pays off. Could be a major mistake. Very hard to tell what the weather's going to do. And the other X factor, of course, is can we make these tires last for the entirety of the race? That depends on the weather as well. Getting out in just under 3.8 seconds, so not a great stop. And now moving ahead one lap, and sure enough, there goes a good set of cars, a number of cars. We're in P22 now, but let's see what we can get up to. There's Kimi, our teammate, and able to jump all the way up into P12 as a result of our early pit stop. So that's great news. The rain coming down harder now. And now near the end of lap 4, you can see even more cars going in. Have had no problem getting caught up with these cars who have been out on the options or primes this whole time. And sure enough, we were able to leapfrog even more. Let's see if we can beat all these cars out up into P3 now. And coming out of the pit exit, there they are, as they navigate their way through that horrific pit exit here. And coming up the top of the hill, going to be close coming out of the exit, and we were able to beat Jensen Button out of the chute to keep a P1 position. And moving all the way up into lap 9, you can see that actually it's starting to really dry out, or at least the sun's starting to come out, and we have got a major gap going back to P2, starting to lose our grip here on lap 10, and that's all the indication I need. You can see that the circuit is starting to dry out as we have all kinds of issues with grip, and given that I have almost a 28-second gap to the P2 car, which I have to think is partially related to the weather, but this race just got really out of control for the AI. But given that much of a gap, going to go ahead and pit here late and throw on some dry tires because, again, I think that the intermediates are being burned up and really rain of no consequence. Let's see if we have any kind of competition coming out of the pit exit, and this is the one that I had mentioned that's just so horrible. I can't stand this pit exit. I've taken off my front wing a number of times just coming out of there. Very frustrating. And you can see the cars just now showing up on the radar, but it will mean absolutely nothing. We've got all kinds of sunshine and a nice sunset before this race would be over, but a cruise control victory. And what's more, it looks like Lewis Hamilton not in the podium, at least not by the time we've crossed the finish line. We'll have to see if that's how it holds up, but a very easy win here at Abu Dhabi. And our teammate Kimi Räikkönen finishing only in 10th, and you may notice that Vettel not there. I have accepted a contract offer with Red Bull, and Lewis Hamilton down in P7, so that's going to mean a shift in the driver's standings. We came in behind Lewis down by 15, and we gained 19 points, so now down by 4 as we head to the second to final race on the season at my home Grand Prix, by country not state, in Austin, Texas, and then on to Brazil for the finale. I hope to see you there, and thanks for watching.